Welcome to Reverse Sweep's Champs Preview Show. It is finally here. The final tournament of the year, Champs, is right around the corner. Joined today, I have Silly, Pacman, and Enable. Enable, you finally made it. It's so good to
I got
see you
stuck in Texas, okay? It was tornadoes, I don't know. I tried to make it back.
You made a valiant effort, and you're here now, which is
That's
what
all
matters.
that matters, it's Champs.
He's like a month late, but he's here.
A month late, but hey, he got here.
I walked here.
Let's take a look though at our champs. Let's take a look at our champs bracket. Take a look, our winners round 2 teams, FaZe and Toronto will be waiting for the winners of winners round 1, OpTic and Subliners, Empire and ROKKR will be starting in winners, whereas Mutineers and Thieves will have a tough road ahead of them starting out in elimination round 1. So guys, when you take a look at this, when you take a look at everything that's gone on, let's kind of start with a precursor, right? Let's talk about COVID and Champs. There's been a lot. There were some cases reported after Major 5, but Champs is going to go on and there are going to be fans with rules. So, Silly, how do you kind of feel about it being on land, fans being there, and what's your thoughts on it?
I think the best environment for any Call of Duty pro player is pretty much having it on land. There's a lot of teams, a lot of players that thrive off of the crowd, you know, Clayster, you can think of OpTic. I think it definitely benefits a lot of the older players to have the crowd out there. Just hoping that everybody's a little bit more safe this time around and don't have to worry about it as much.
You have to, I think, have a COVID test within the last 72 hours or something like that, or vaccinated, ideally.
They should have had that at stage 5.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we want the fans to be there. That's what makes it fun. We want the players to be able to play on land because that's where they're playing at the most fair environment. Obviously, the only issue is if you're not going to test everyone, the staff, the fans, everyone, then it shouldn't be done that way. But we all want it to be on land with the fans. Like, that's obvious. So if they're testing everyone correctly, and I'm not even sure 72 hours is accurate enough, but it is what it is. If you're testing everyone correctly, then let them go have their fun. The players just need to stay safe.
Yeah, and I think that's something too, maybe a bit more separation in terms of what happens in the interactions between players and the crowd. But at the end of the day, guys, if you are attending, please get those tests, wear your masks, and of course, wear deodorant as well. That goes without saying. Let's talk about New York. So Clay is back. DiamondCon, we talked about it before. That's what you sign up for when you're a sub on a team, that something like this can happen. But Clay's back on the roster for Champs. Silly, what do you think of this? Are you nervous at all that maybe chemistry might be an issue for them? What do you think about Clay being back on the active roster?
I think this break was probably really good for Clay. DiamondCon's a great player, but you know, Clay's got players like Asum on his team that thrive off of his energy. I feel like Asum is going to play better if Clay's in his normal form. And I feel like if they have any chance of making a run, it would have had to been with Clay, so I'm glad he's back.
Yeah, I mean, to give them a legitimate chance at winning this thing or going as far as possible, it has to be with Clay. Clay's been really good at this game. He's a great player, and obviously having someone with that kind of Champs experience and success on your team, that couldn't hurt. That's got to be a boon to your success, even though DiamondCon was playing fine.
It sucks for him. It sucks for
DiamondCon got screwed.
I do agree. I do agree. It's what you sign up for, and I think they will be better with Clay. But I almost feel like right now with that whole situation, you don't know the team can. If they wanted him back or Clay was kind of forced back into the lineup, I think they have a lot higher of a ceiling, but I almost think their floor is a lot lower with Clay. Because we don't know if they're just forgetting everything that happened or they have some grudge because he gave up on, I've heard that he gave up on them in stage 5, et cetera, et cetera. But Clay helps a lot. Asum was the IGL solely without Clay. Yeah. So putting some of that load or majority of that load on Clay will make Seam play better. I think Mac and Hydra will play a lot better, and they'll do, solid. I don't have them making it too far, but I'll give them, they'll do solid.
Do you think solid is a better chance than they would have had with DiamondCon?
I do. It's just because it's a whole different environment with Diamond. Like, Diamond plays a different style than Clay. DiamondCon also is new. So even though Seam is a relatively new player, he was the IGL. And it's just not something that I don't think he's comfortable in doing himself. So having Clay there to lead all of them, they're going to be a million times better. And they've already got the reps over the course of the year with Clay. With DiamondCon, he was just kind of thrown in, and they just got to wish for the best.
So, Silly, do you think in a situation like this, whether you've been a part of one or seen one happen, what are some of the unique issues New York's going to have to deal with, like those last-minute fires with Clay coming back in?
They definitely might have to deal with like a lack of chemistry. Like obviously they haven't had a ton of practice with Clay since he came back, and just making sure their vibes are good. I mean, ultimately it seems like that's what it came down to with their team. Because they went from being, I think they finished top 2, and then they had all kinds of internal issues, whether it was arguing with each other, not believing in each other. And it does happen all the time. Your confidence before tournaments basically reflects how you're going to place at that tournament a lot of the time. So if their practice has been going well, I think they're going to do great.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see.
You know what's crazy? Because I was doing my own research,
Oh, the historian.
The historian. NYSL, like that 4, actually hasn't gotten that many reps, like official matches. Because they picked up Hydra in stage 3. That's where they had the great major, the great, like 13-0 and hardpoint, yeah. Stage 4, they obviously played, but then Seam couldn't go to the major. And then stage 5, Clay took time off. So it's like, compared to the other top teams, they don't have as much practice. And I'm a little worried about that, especially with all the issues that have went on. Like even something that they couldn't control, like with Seam's visa. Like that probably caused some sort of frustration with Clay within the team because they were looking so good. They had just got second. Okay. And then you go into that major, you have to pick up a fill-in who is not Seam. And everything kind of went downhill. So I'm interested to see how they bounce back.
Yeah, I mean, I want to hope that it's a good opening winners round 1 against OpTic. That is the team that they will be playing to start everything off. OpTic, a team that should have all 4 players present. I think we just found out Scum Envoy got negative results finally on COVID tests, feeling better, healthy, which is all you can ask for, and will presumably be at champs. So that's huge, Silly, right? Like you want a full roster, obviously, to be there. That would have been a disaster for them.
I want to see Sender in general. Sender just popping dead silence.
Well, that's what people were all tweeting about because they didn't know, but it seems like, maybe things will be all right, but.
It definitely would have been interesting, but I feel like even from like a fan perspective, not having Scump at champs is just like, it shouldn't be that way. It would have been bad. And it's funny, I wouldn't even say funny, but as interesting as it would be for General and Center to be playing, I don't think anybody wishes that upon them, and I'm glad they're all cleared up because everybody wants to see OpTic play on land.
Yeah. Imagine just so the Greenwall can just attack Troy. Like,
imagine
like that. You've been in scrims every day and you can't shoot.
But what if they won? What if it was Sender in general? They won champs this season.
Oh my God, no.
I mean,
Sender would get a statue.
There's a better chance of me, you, Katie, and Justin winning champs than if they would have won champs.
You're not wrong.
No, but I wonder for something like that, do you think, so it's not just Scump and Envoy, there's murmurings with other people, things like that. If there are players who end up not being able to make it to champs for whatever reason, maybe due to COVID, do you think people are going to try and invalidate the results, put an asterisk on champs, how champs runs?
Of course, but history washes that away. The longer time goes by, people don't care about the situations or surrounding a tournament.
I think it also depends too on like, for example, if Scump and Envoy couldn't make it, I could see that maybe, or like if some players from FaZe or Toronto, but if a team like LAT and Florida are losers, like if one of them couldn't play, it's like, well, you're probably not doing anything. Like, it would be hard for you to even win the event regardless with your full team. So I don't know, they probably will if their favorite team doesn't win, but it always happens every year.
Yeah, it can be
like
a
there
convenience
always is
thing.
something, like, oh, this is why my team didn't win, it doesn't count.
Well, then let's talk about OpTic, because OpTic is a team that a lot of people are going to want to win. They were hard stuck in that 4th place at a lot of majors. They finally broke through that. Major number 5, they got 3rd. They're looking better. So, Silly, when you look at OpTic, what are you expecting from them at champs?
On the biggest stage of the year, you expect the big dogs to do great. A hot take for me, I think this will probably be their best event of the year. I'm hoping for it at least. So, yeah, really want them to perform on land. They're going to have the crowd behind them, everything else. So,
that makes
looking
things
for a big
easier.
win. Yeah, definitely.
Are they on FaZe's side of the bracket? I believe they are, right? So
yes, whoever wins OpTic or New York will play FaZe in winners round.
Weird thought. I think that's better for them than playing Toronto, to be honest.
I do. I think they match up better versus FaZe.
Yeah, and they beat them the last time. They lost to Toronto
both times.
Both times they played
at stage 4 or stage 5.
So I mean, honestly, even though you're looking at FaZe, like historically, that's just not the match you want. It's the best time to be playing them because they should be, if anything, more apprehensive about their first match because they are coming off their worst tournament like ever. So
Yep, and OpTic's coming off a win too if they get there, so it's probably best case scenario for them.
I do think this is the best OpTic's played all year, but I don't know. I feel like stage 5, I had them winning. I think I had them in the finals, but I said it was their tournament to lose because it was the first stage where they didn't have a Lamar Beatty 1v3 lineup. You know, they didn't have like a crazy round 11 loss. It was the first time they got first in the group stages. Like they had that bye. FaZe lost early, and then they still couldn't even get to the finals. Now I know they did break that top 4. Third is nothing to be ashamed about, but I almost feel like, and I could be completely wrong here, in their heads, especially when FaZe lost, they were like, oh, this is us. This is our tourney. And then when they didn't close, it's like, oh, maybe we just don't have enough. Like, we're a really good team, but we don't have enough to just
Yeah, it's like
get
FaZe
the
goes out
chip.
early and you get one place better than you did before.
It's like, that's not what they were aiming for. So it'll be interesting because I do think it's the best COD they've been playing. But there's a handful of teams that they're going to have to beat if they want to win it all.
Yeah, I certainly think they can do it. I
It's
think
possible.
we've seen them do it
It's
before.
possible.
A team that did it in major number 5, Minnesota ROKKR. They beat everyone. They beat all the really, really good teams. I think OpTic was the only one they didn't face in the tournament.
Who had that hot take? That guy is smart. You remember talking about? Said they were going to be in the finals, winners finals.
That was a good take. I mean, I
You
I
gotta
don't know
get
how
used to
you
this.
came up with
Ian
that
takes
lucky
moments
crap.
to gloat a lot.
Yeah, he says the most ridiculous.
Oh,
he says the most
yeah.
ridiculous shit.
I thought he was actually bringing it up.
Come on.
So let's talk about Minnesota, though. Do you think they can go back-to-back? Do you think? So, Ian, you look at Minnesota, they had an incredible run, especially what they managed to do to Toronto after being down 0-4 in the grand final. Do you think they can bring that same kind of magic to champs?
I don't know. Because the thing is whenever I talk to the player, well, when you look at the official matches, right, before, they were never really a top team. But they had like a little stint where they were with Lamar. But they weren't like a team that you thought could be a contender.
Right.
I've heard from pro players, I mean, you probably have experience, they like weren't good in scrims. They haven't been like a good respawn team. Their S&D is pretty solid. But at stage 5, they, besides the finals, which even, it was kind of dominant, like none of the maps were close that they won, they beat every team pretty easily. Even in respawns, like they were doing things that they've never done before. So I don't know if it was everyone was firing on all cylinders. And I don't want to say fluke, but they just got hot at the right time. I don't know if it's something that they can
But it did kind of feel like it just came out of nowhere.
It came out of nowhere.
It did come out of nowhere, but it's kind of hard to call it a fluke because they beat everyone.
It's not a
The
fluke.
road was kind of ridiculous, but at the same time, I know what you're saying. Like you don't. If they run it again, do I believe anyone could get through that road? Not really. It's hard. There's so much talent in the league.
Like if pros would have told me before stage 5, yo, Minnesota's been playing really good. Their hard point looks good. You know what I mean? Their respawn looks good. I would probably be more confident. But everyone has told me, literally even after they won stage 5, like, oh, Minnesota's just getting like 100-point clubbed in scrims. It's like,
people are going to say that's online.
That doesn't
though.
correlate. Like you're just getting smoked, and then all of a sudden you win the event.
You beat Toronto and Dallas and
pretty
FaZe, and
easy
you won.
action besides the finals.
Their coaches thought they're going to win that event like 2 weeks before the event. So if the pros were saying they're getting smoked, maybe they were, but maybe Brian's saying
come on.
Come on,
Well,
the
I mean, you
coaches.
worked with them before, you know. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell my
Devils
team.
probably thought they were going to win the event too.
No daggers. But if Brian's like
frying
never been like that. He's like, they're gonna win this. Like blah blah blah. We've been frying everybody like a week before the event. So unless the pros were capped and they thought they were gonna win too.
You know Brian better than we do.
Yeah,
so.
like I
True.
talk to him all the time. Like he's never been like, oh my God, we're the best, we're frying, but he was before that event. And going into this one, I mean, they have all the momentum. You just literally pull off the biggest reverse sweep in history. But I do think there's like 4 different teams that could win the event. So it's definitely kind of a shot in the dark there.
I mean, I know we talk a lot about momentum, but the flip side of momentum is the pressure that's associated with it. So are you worried at all that that could get the better of Minnesota? I mean, if you're going to champs, you just won Major 5, your first major for that team, and you have that whole crowd, maybe not with you necessarily, depending on who you're playing. Do you think that that could cause them to trip up a bit?
I mean, I'm pretty sure all those players are pretty seasoned on like big crowds and the big stage and everything. If you worry about anybody, maybe Standy, but I mean, he's been their best player. I'm sure he's adapted to the whole LAN environment, so I'm not too worried about it.
They got the best clutch player of all time in attach.
Yeah, they do. Actually,
So
though.
I don't think it'd be nerves. Like
Dylan plays better with the crowd like that.
Under pressure. I think they're a favorite, and if they did lose early, which they could, just because there are a handful of teams that realistically could win.
Dallas could beat them.
I don't think it would be because of the pressure of like we're defending our,
Right.
our well, not COD champs, but our fucking
You can curse.
Oh, you
can
can't?
curse?
Oh. Our major win. You know what I'm saying? I don't think
That was so nice that he tried to catch himself, though. I appreciate that. That was
it came
sweet.
out and I was like, ooh.
Oh my.
No, it's allowed. It's not.
So I think it would just be because other teams, came and outplayed them that weekend. But I don't think they'll be nervous.
If Minnesota's not nervous, then let's get on to our player to watch. Someone you want to keep your eye on, someone that you think could really stand out, whether it's a rookie, a seasoned veteran, a clutch player, someone, Tilly, that you're keeping your eye on for champs.
My player for champs that I have my eye on is Clay. He got this nice little break. He's back in the mix. He's back on land with fans. It's literally like his environment. I'm expecting him to fry.
All right,
was
I
in
like
Bahamas.
that. I mean, that makes sense too as a pick. Like Clay has performed as an AR, especially really well throughout the year, and then obviously shocking break comes back. So yeah.
He needs to play well because if he doesn't, I feel like it looks real bad on him.
I think he will though. He's been good at this game the entire time.
He has been.
He's
No, he has
actually he's really good at this.
But
game.
if he doesn't play well and they don't play well, it's like
Not great.
you wasted how many days of practice going into this? It's
and valuable land experience with your team. too.
exactly.
I'll let you two bicker over who wants to go first.
No, we'll go down the line.
I'm gonna stick with my prediction because I just feel like Dallas is gonna win champs, and I'm gonna go with Krim because last year, even though it was an online champ, say whatever you want.
Didn't they go back to back? Okay.
Well, yeah, I do. Krim actually played a pretty average MW season, but at champs he was amazing. Like he just turns up, and there's a reason why he's won all these tournaments. Something about he knows what to do when it matters.
Right.
So I feel like if Dallas is going to win, obviously Shotzi's probably going to be the best player in the universe, but Krim's going to have to play a lot better, and I think that he will. I got my own Krim.
Okay. Mine, people are going to say biased, and it's going to be tough because they.
Can we get a compilation? Can we get a compilation of all the times he said that phrase before he started
They
talking about
always
these?
do. Because LAT's starting to lose the bracket, so they're already in a tough spot. But I think it has to be Kenny because they got what, 5th, 6th at stage 5. Should have been up 2-0 versus Dallas at stage 5 at the major. They looked a lot better, but Ken did not play well at that event. He did not. Austin had a slasher LAN event, nothing new there. Drazah played great. I think John got a lot better as the event went on. And I've also heard that he's gotten a lot better since then in practice. But Ken needs to step up and be that superstar if they want to make this deep losers run and potentially, cause some upsets, maybe get a second place, first place, something. So I got Ken.
I like that. I think that's good, especially too if someone just had a performance that was a bit shaky. And I think that's why I'm leaning, not that this player was shaky necessarily, but I'm leaning toward Insight and also just Toronto as a whole because you made history in the worst way possible. No one wants to be the team that has been come back on in the biggest moment in COD that we've seen and something like that being you're up 4-0, you're a map away.
They're like the Buffalo Bills. When there was a Buffalo Bills team in the 90s that made the Super Bowl 4 times in a row and they lost every single time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough.
That's my football team.
Is that your team?
My family's from Buffalo. It's
That's
all good
that's
though.
the first thing I thought of. I saw a whole ESPN 30 for 30.
But it's such a good time to be a fan of them though.
It was,
And
but
the face.
that's
only
what's.
time-
I mean,
Yeah,
Toronto
but
gotta
no,
win.
so-
Toronto got to win, but
Right.
it's like they were up 4-0. Like you have 4 chances. to
Well,
get
so
one,
that's
you know
why
what
I'm
saying?
curious. I'm curious to see if that adversity sticks with them into champs or if it's been enough time and they have that kind of fortitude to just be able to put that outcome aside and not let it fluster them at champs. So we'll have to see what happens. But let's talk about the opening matches and your predictions for those. OpTic and Subliners, Empire and ROKKR. Ian, I'll start with you this time. When you're looking at these, what are you anticipating from the opening volleys? Winners round 1.
I think OpTic's going to take their series for sure. I think NYSL has had way too many obstacles this year, especially with this last issue that they've had. OpTic is playing their best COD all year, as long as they all feel good. I know Envoy Scump tested negative. As long as they feel back to normal though, and they don't still feel kind of down, I think that'll be kind of an easy series, to be honest. I'd be shocked if NYSL win that. And then Dallas versus Minnesota. For some reason, I have Empire winning. I know Minnesota just won.
I mean, I still kind of lean toward that too, though. In the grand scheme of the year, I kind of lean toward Dallas.
If Minnesota beat Dallas, like a 3-0, 3-1, I'd be confident that they could win champs easily again. That is a series. But for some reason, I just think they're going to come out flat, and Dallas is a top team. They've been a top team all year long. And they're trying to go back-to-back.
I'm gonna agree. I mean, it's hard for me to pick against OpTic in this match, but I think they have to win 3-1. I feel like if it gets to that game 5, that's when I feel like Clay turns up in those spots.
If it goes game 5, I could see
I think
NYSL
NYSL would win, but I feel like OpTic should be able to take it 3-0 or 3-1. And then I mean, I have to stick with it. I think that Dallas is going to beat ROKKR. I remember times in the past where teams have had those like one-off tournaments where they go off and just do things that is not in their character.
Oh, it's
like,
happened a bunch, yeah.
It has. Like, what? I don't know if you've been on any of those teams that have
Evil
had that.
Geniuses World Champs.
And we got second at the major before that, though.
That's true.
They did, but then they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Pat didn't want to try, man. What am I?
That is true. Pat only tries the big ones. That is true.
Which is just weird. Anyways.
Anyway.
It is happening.
But I'm saying, my point is that there have been times where teams are out of character. It doesn't necessarily mean they win the event, but they placed way higher than they normally would or whatever. And then that's just not who they are. It's not that Minnesota's bad. I just don't believe that they're actually that good.
I could agree with that.
I have OpTic. I feel like in some world, New York could beat them, but they don't have that many reps with Clay since he's been back. I also don't think OpTic is going to lose first round and going to losers at champs. But I'm going to take ROKKR for the other series. I do agree with Ian where he said that that's the series. If they come out flat against Dallas, they could just go 0-2 out. You know, I still have them beating Dallas. If they come out flat, could not go well for them. But yeah, got ROKKR.
All right, I like that.
Is it weird? I want to say one more thing. With this format, like, you know how, at least up until Black Ops 4, every champs, there was always one team that was considered a favorite that went out early. Like, I mean, Black Ops 4 Gen G didn't even make it.
They got
that was-
happened there.
They didn't even make it.
I remember we were all shocked when they just went down in
World War
flames.
II, we TK and Rise played each other, and then Rise lost like the very next round. There has to be one, right? But I don't know how because of the
format's
format.
just so different though. That was like big, large-scale groups and like I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, OpTic didn't even make bracket at that World War II champs. Like, it's actually crazy.
yeah, they costed me.
I actually did. Huh?
They didn't even win the series. They should have one map. Okay, that's it. I could have gave them one.
After the hard point, it was chalked.
Yeah,
I'm
they
sorry.
were so choked.
Now you got
Yeah,
me
it
reliving
is.
my moments. Yeah, it's.
It is true though. It sounds bad, but after that hard point, they were
Yeah,
getting
pretty much.
waxed.
It was over with after that.
I would love to see a huge upset though.
Okay.
What is the huge upset
Well,
though?
Well, Ian,
Well, like
speaking of,
if with
The
Fargo
only
said-
big upset in this whole bracket is Mutineers winning a match.
Look at you
okay, well
interrupting
then
Katie.
hold on.
Look
Let's
at
do
you
bold
interrupting Katie.
predictions because you guys are teasing into them. So, Pacman, bold prediction. You think Mutineers win
No,
some?
Havoc hasn't won a match at champs. Like,
Come on, that ain't right.
You don't gotta pick on Havoc like that.
I'm
Playing
just
now,
calling
man.
it.
They did.
Well,
wait,
they had a bad champs last year too, though. All
Did
of
they?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what did they get? 8th?
They got last. They didn't win a match.
Oh, they went double out, but they were better than bracket.
yeah, Gen G didn't even compete at Black
Gen
Ops.
G,
Yeah.
Gen G was one of the best
He
teams
was
in the
on
game.
that team.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was, and I know this because
and IW.
That was a
yes,
harassment
and I only know that because
attempt.
Nameless talks about it every like 20 minutes. He's like, Havoc cost him. He's throwing tomahawks at champs, or like whatever the fuck.
That's true. That was when they're out playing for their placement matches for more cash. But I mean, you're still throwing tomahawks, people.
Well, whatever.
Wait,
the point is they went out 0-3 in groups, and then I think Black Ops 3 is the best one. But I don't remember what they got. Top 16 with
top
complexity.
12,
Top
yeah.
12. Do you think that they can beat Empire ROKKR, Subliners, or OpTic in a match?
No. I'm not.
But if
I'm not talking
ROKKR
about
loses, they
That's
could
not
be
my
like,
bold.
oh my god, like we
Oh my God,
we
what
fucked up.
happened?
We're already losers.
Mutineers
and
not
then
even on my
come
radar.
out.
Bold prediction. But I'm pretty sure.
They're good sometimes.
No,
They
I don't.
are
I don't
good
mean it. I don't mean it like they're not on my
Why just
radar.
turn into a roast fest? We're
No,
like, Mutineers.
Everybody.
I meant they're not on my bold prediction radar because I'm pretty sure LAT
Yeah, only
plays
these for 'em.
the loser of Empire ROKKR. So I'll start it off because I've been gassing Minnesota my bold predictions all year long. I'm flipping the script. Bold predictions: Minnesota loses to Empire, winners round 1. They fall down to LAT, lose to LAT, 0-2, pack your bags, go on some vacation. Probably can't because it's COVID, but they're not doing anything else. That's my bold prediction.
Is that they're just gonna flop?
Yep. LAT's
right.
going to come out with the fire, put them in a body bag, and then they're going to make a run.
I got Ultra going up 2-0 against whichever team they play, losing that series, and then going 0-2 for the tournament because after they have lost 2 times that way,
You think they get reverse swept and then drop?
and then they lose to whoever the hell they play.
Do they win a map in loser bracket?
Well, yeah,
Oh,
they're good. They're just, It's just
These are all dark, bold predictions. These are not good if
You
you're
said
Toronto fans,
bold.
Minnesota fans.
You said
These are
bold,
bad.
not accurate.
I've got to go.
LAT fans, though, you got to feel good on my bold prediction.
All right.
So-
Silly, bold prediction.
Uh,
I've got an OpTic ROKKR winners final for my bold prediction.
Ooh.
Spice it up a little bit. I feel like if
is
ROKKR makes it to
spicy.
Ultra, they'll be like, damn, these dudes just beat our ass, and they're gonna
These guys are shook.
be shook against them.
I could see that.
I could see that as well.
And
I
with,
could see it.
With OpTic too, the only reason like they had
won't
lost
win
at
a
the
match
last
ever?
event is because Formal had like one really bad map that you'll never see again. Is the only reason they lost and didn't go game 5. I feel like they don't let that happen again, and they can definitely take out FaZe, especially because they play match before them. So
Looking at Mutineers and Thieves, a hypothetical, who do you think has more of a chance of getting to a loser's final?
LAT.
LA Thieves, without
these-
question.
Yeah, these for sure.
That's like
We
that's-
already
that's
went on a
free.
whole little rant on
Yeah.
I don't know. The moment I
Florida
asked it, I was like,
Mutineers,
I'm just
yeah,
gonna, they're gonna roast Florida.
Mutineers
again, I'm
can't
sorry.
beat. They couldn't beat subliners with the fill-in. They don't look that
That's
good
fair.
on land in this game
That's fair.
so far.
They got
Short
reverse
look
swept, though,
good
didn't they?
online.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, but it's short sample size.
Like,
Well, I mean, what
How is
about
that a thing
Awakening, right?
still?
We had talked about Awakening so consistently, and he was kind of just flat on the lands that we've seen him at.
what is it? It's low tide. The waves are not waking.
What?
No, I don't know.
Please let us know what you think of Ian's jokes in the comments. Thank you.
I think that's a good analogy.
Not even on my
But
radar.
I don't understand how they could like. I didn't mean it like that. I promise. It just came out wrong. Everyone on Mutineers in Texas.
No, I don't think so. I think Neptune's in Indiana, Colt's in Texas, and I think they might like all be in like around Chicago and
They
stuff.
got,
because-
they got the dominant
Maybe
online
that
spread.
makes-
yeah, they had like a triangle formation before, so
Oh
I don't know.
no,
I don't
that's,
know.
that's the dominant online spread.
They
that you
burned
don't
me
know.
multiple times on this show. My predictions where they look so good.
You gotta stop. You gotta stop.
So now I'm burning them back. They have a 0 shot. Whoever it drops, I don't see them beating OpTic, Subliners, Empire, or Minnesota.
Maybe if it was
That's-
old school and they could go through a group
I
and
think
like
them and
warm up.
Subliners could
Yeah.
be a really good match. Could be like
They lost.
They lost to them twice already though.
New York's usually pretty good at hardpoint. They're not very good at search. Florida's a little bit better at search.
If Clay still
Controller about even
faded
across the board.
off to my ties in the Bahamas, maybe Florida's got a chance. That's it.
All right, let's wrap up the roast of Florida. I think they might already be dead. But speaking of that, there
Love
are a
Ogre too,
couple teams
Love that guy. He's a good guy.
that were not able to make it to champs. This is first champs where all the teams won't be in attendance. So, Silly, I would like to kind of just leave the floor to you to talk to us about the Guerrillas year, what you feel you learned, takeaways, just kind of through your eyes.
Because we've been cooking y'all.
I know.
I'm sorry. Respectful.
This year was just, not fun for us. Whether it's playing from the West Coast, we lost our aggro SMG player, like our Slayer, and kind of had a role swap in the middle of the year. Definitely just tough all around. We had all kinds of not internal issues necessarily. The team wasn't meshing. Some of us didn't necessarily get along all the time. So it's just a rough year, and it sucks not being at champs. But when you let your year go downhill like that, we were decent the first 2 majors, and here we are.
Because I think we talked about it for a long time when we would go into the rankings and the cutoffs for champs, that you guys had held on to that 8th place spot, I think, for a very, very long time. So
Yeah, it was on us. I mean, we were in that spot for that long and just couldn't get anywhere in a bracket, couldn't go up in any matches or anything, couldn't win any matches pretty much. I think we won like 1 or 2 out of our last 10. So, I mean, that's how it goes. You can't win a couple matches to stay in. We also gave Florida 60 points and they're in 8th place. So that doesn't help us very much either.
Wait, so then what are some of the things, because I know, the armchair COD experts and the people on Twitter and whatever else will have kind of surface level takes because they can't see everything that happened behind the scenes. So is there anything you can contextualize for us that people might not understand, like kind of the things that play a part in worse years, the context people might be missing?
I mean, there's a lot of things like that players aren't going to talk about that would clear up things.
As I sit here asking you to
Yeah.
talk about
Please
it.
tell all.
Playing every, obviously this is the main issue, but playing every single scrim and every match at a ping disadvantage gets pretty annoying and pretty repetitive, obviously. Not all roster changes are always formulated by the players. Like going through role switches and playing with different teammates all the time definitely makes it harder on teams. You can see that with Thieves. They've made a bunch of changes and they're kind of just trying to find the right fit. And, it just doesn't always work out that way.
I actually had a question, and if you can't say, actually just say it anyways. Like you see, Sam's talked about it, Octane, on like last year and even this year, they try to make team changes and the org wouldn't let them. Like, did you guys try and make a team change outside of your academy team, and it just like didn't go through? Like, what was?
After the second major, we had all agreed, like, we're like, all right, we had a decent end of major two, like, we beat Thieves and beat FaZe, whatever. We're like, we're gonna stick together, we're good. We had like one really bad day of scrims, and then Reese was just like, blew up in smoke. So at that point, we have 2 days before the lock. So either we go into challengers and strip someone off of their team, pay a buyout, hope it works out in 2 days, or we take someone off the academy team that's, you know, gonna be free and try it out.
Couldn't you guys like trade Vivid for someone though?
In 2 days?
Was there just not enough time?
Oh yeah,
Probably
I guess.
not.
But then, like, why? I feel like did you guys hold him at that time? Or did you guys let it?
I don't think so. I think whoever, I think it might have been Seattle. I don't think they were trying to pay whatever the org wanted for him.
Yeah, I think that Seattle was the initial
I don't think they were trying to maliciously
rumored
hold him though.
Yeah.
change.
Just because I always wonder, like, even though they haven't had the results or success either all year, I respect LAT's efforts to just try anything. Where it seems like it's not the players, it's not on you guys, but you know, there's players and teams that aren't performing well this year that are voicing their concerns, like, hey, let's try to get this guy, let's try to make a move somehow, and it just kind of gets shut down like that. And it sucks to see, because then you're in a situation like you guys were, where like you were 8th, but you knew you kind of needed more to make that push or be able to hold it, and then you just couldn't really make a move. Like, you had to go from your academy team, no disrespect to them, but I don't think any of their roles were like the roles you guys needed.
Yeah, we actually, we had played with Exceed beforehand, but he hadn't been running a sub before that, so like we scrimmed with him one day, he didn't play very good, not his fault. So the next day, or like one day we had a scrim, we're like, all right, we have to try Sheen because we have like a day left, and then boom.
It's just,
That put you in a weird spot, right? Because you were the one that had to switch.
I mean, yeah, I was frying, and I ended up running a sub, and then me and Brian we're just on 2 completely different pages running subs together, bro.
ain't nobody on the same page as that. I'll tell you that from experience. Ain't nobody on the same
John was a special beast because he just did whatever, and so.
Besides John. John is the only one that
him
can
and Brian
that.
doing whatever, and it just paid off.
How do you deal with people thinking, like, basically, I mean, I've teamed with you, so I know how much better you generally do get on land. Like, you're a really good teammate. How do you deal with people basically talking shit about you all year long without even knowing how you are behind the scenes?
I mean, it's just, there's always only so much I can say about things like that, so it's just like, I just got to eat it. Obviously, I fight back a little bit. Not most players don't, but I fight back. It's just super annoying, because like, there's a lot of things for COD professionals that are like out of their control, and a lot of it's portrayed as like, hey, you guys love getting shit on all year. Like, good job, you suck. Like, what am I supposed to do? like, I don't like losing either.
I mean, me and John know for sure. I go down swinging. When I would get cooked, I'd be
you know me.
Twitter fingers.
Yeah, me too, man.
Because you can't say everything.
But you have to say.
everything.
But the thing is, when you talk shit back, you have to say. You still have to stay in the realm of like professional.
Oh, I would
You have guardrails on. They do not.
They have to say. They say whatever the hell they
You're
want.
supposed to be a pro.
I went off the rails a couple
They
of
say
times.
that as if they have
favorite.
any idea of what it actually means
You
to
say
be a
something
pro.
back that
Yeah,
they at
exactly.
LAG, you guys pay this guy. These guys have this guy on your team.
Guys are
see
professionals.
his
That's
tweets
literally
to
their
me?
favorite.
We know Guerrillas, Paris, and Seattle and London will not be there. Do you think they should be at Champs?
I think this format isn't great. I don't think anybody really likes the format, especially like last year. They're like, oh, it was online, so we should have all teams. This year is 95% online too, so yeah, I think they should have had all 12 teams. We were aware of the format to begin with, though. Our bad for obviously not being in the top 8, but all 12 teams makes it a lot more exciting, because then you give one of the bottom 4 teams a chance to make a crazy run, and that's what everybody wants to see, you know, at the end of the day.
I think the biggest issue too is they only have 12 teams. Like, so they were probably thinking about that as well, because it's you can't run a 12-team turn. Like, it's, you know,
It's impossible. Yeah.
I don't mind the format, but I agree with Justin. If it was all on land this whole year, I think the top 8 is good. But then I don't think there should be teams starting loser bracket. I think it should be FaZe is the 1 seed. Whoever got 8, was it Florida or LAT? One of them. Like, they play them. Because FaZe, 99 times out of 100, they're going to beat that team. But you have the potential for the storyline, the upsets, all that stuff. But I think they just need to have 16 teams in the league and go from there. 12 teams, it's so hard to do a legitimate tournament. I hate that, like, FaZe in Toronto has a bye already, and they have to win, what, 2 series?
Yeah, that's
Like 2 series and they're in the finals already?
that's ridiculous.
It feels
That's-
lackluster.
That is the biggest issue with me. The 4 teams not being there, I don't have the biggest issue with that. If they're there, that's also fine with me, of course. But the groups need to be played. There needs to be some sort of process before you end up in winners round 2. No one should be in winners round 2
It
regardless.
kind of feels
What
like
makes
you're starting in the middle of a book or the middle of a
Yeah.
series, and you're like, wait, what happened to everything
the
beforehand?
culmination of the year should be like grandiose almost. Like that's what the whole, that's what makes champs what it is. The fact that people get to see those runs from those teams that you might not see is just because you have this whole big build up to it. You get the teams that get last place. You get the Gen Gs that are just like, what the hell happened to you? You get stories. This format takes away all the stories. Like even if the team gets last, let's say ROKKR gets last place or double, it's not the biggest story. It's not like, we're not gonna be like, oh, it's like whatever. You just had another bad weekend. It's not like, it's not the most.
It's not like it used to be. It's lackluster.
Yeah.
It's lackluster.
Who do you guys think is going to win? If you had to pick someone.
I mean, for me, it's between like 4 different teams, honestly. But if I have to pick, I mean, I feel like FaZe just like doesn't let that happen again, to be honest. And I feel like most people's favorites would be FaZe, but I do have OpTic beating them. So like I would say either of them, but the fact that they play each other in that round is pretty crazy. It's definitely a tough one. I have OpTic beating them. I think if it comes down to it, if it's best of 9 in finals, they could beat them in losers and win the event. I'll go with FaZe.
I got Dallas FaZe running it back in the final.
In the finals?
But I'm gonna go with Dallas again. I've been saying that, so I'm gonna stick with that, even though they let me down last tournament. Bad.
I feel like the easy answer is always just FaZe.
Yeah, they're the best team.
They're the best team. They didn't win, like, they're the best team this year by far. They lost champs last year when they were probably the best team. I feel like they have a chip on their shoulder. At the same time, they could be feeling the pressure. A lot of people are talking about them being a dynasty if they win this champs. You know, stage 5, they looked really bad. I have FaZe Toronto, I think, in the finals. I think Toronto has honestly been the most consistent team all year since they've got Insight. No, after stage 5. Well, look.
I get what you're saying.
Since they picked up Insight, they got second, third, or no, they got first, third, second.
Right.
Should have been 2 first. Should have been.
FaZe has been the most consistent team, but
FaZe got what? First, second, first, sixth, second, or so, I don't know. But what I'm saying,
First, second, first,
it's like first.
Six.
And then-
yeah, I didn't go in order.
First.
I think it 8th.
8th?
I think
Yeah,
they
they
got
got
8th.
0-2'd.
What I'm saying
Whatever.
is that Toronto team, they haven't been out of the top. They're at least in the loser final.
right. But you were saying that FaZe was at least in the finals before the last one, which is
Yeah,
better.
but that's 7-8, baby.
I get you.
It sneaks up on you when
One
you don't
question:
expect it.
have the members of FaZe ever done a losers run? I feel like they've just been dominant. I'm talking about like if we go back to their United days, and
They dropped down to like a loser's final or something.
that's not a loser.
That's what, no, that's what I mean.
Not Simp or Celium.
They never-
Arcities might
Not that I
have.
can think of.
Wait, did Arcities do a loser run with you guys at all before EU United? No?
No,
I don't think so.
They were just dominant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think at all that I can think of.
See what I'm saying? I don't
Yeah.
think they've ever been. I don't think they've ever bounced back. Not that they've been in a position to. They usually just win.
Yeah, they normally are
But
dominant.
even when they had Simp and Abizi, let's say United, I want to say Anaheim when you guys won, they kind of dropped in the losers and got knocked out.
Right.
I've never seen them actually make a run. So if they were to lose to OpTic, I could see them also
Losing it.
losing again.
I'm going to face Toronto in the finals, and I'm just going to pick FaZe. I know that's not a hot take by any means, but I want to see them get a ring together and kind of secure their dynasty. Like, it would suck to see them just Gen G it.
Yeah.
Back
That
to
would
back,
suck.
you know?
Especially when there's such a potentially incredible storyline that can come out of that. Like, even if you're not a fan, I think you should be able to appreciate that you kind of want that storyline to happen in a way too.
What, then bomb out or win?
No,
Oh,
winning.
I mean, I guess in the same way, bombing out, because then you got to think maybe Simp and Abizi split up, maybe they split up. That's 2 years back to back where they're so good and then they just crumble.
They got second last year. Let's
was
not call that
online last year,
crumbling.
too.
though.
I feel-
That's true.
It was online. I don't think
just
you
trying
count
to-
that
I'm
too
gassing it.
Hot take machine.
I'm gassing it.
They won't break up either way.
But yeah, I got FaZe, kid. I got FaZe.
To close out the show, what are your plans? Anything fun you're doing in the off season? Plans for next year? Talk to us about yourself before we wrap up.
Should finally be getting married. Just canceled my honeymoon though.
Oh.
Don't think we're going to Japan. They're not going to let us there. So I don't know.
But wedding's right around the corner, right?
Yeah, October, early October. As long as there's no mask mandate again, it'll actually happen. Got canceled last year because of some COVID stuff. So really excited for that.
Hey, congrats.
Awesome,
But
yeah.
you get married,
Congratulations.
baby. You got it's time to retire. You got a wife. You know, she about ready for kids. You know what I'm saying?
Never having kids.
Oh,
Not getting me with that. I'm still good to go.
That's
trust.
what App told me. And one day,
The Seattle fathers, the LAG fathers.
But congrats, that is awesome.
Thank you.
No,
No kids.
I'm not a dad. Don't look at me like I'm a
Quote me on that. If I ever have a kid, I want you guys to hum me down off this video.
We'll have this clip. Well, seriously though,
He's gonna be
congratulations
heated
and
when he
best
sees
wishes.
that.
But that is awesome.
Thank you.
That wedding is right around the corner. Very exciting. And what else right around the corner? Of course, champs, which is why we are all here. So thank you so much, Silly, Pacman, Enable, for joining me. And we'll see what happens, guys. We're finally at the finish line. Let us know what you think in the comments, what you predict is going to happen. We'd love to hear from you.